Alright, I hope you guys can hear me. Trying out a new camera setup for the GoPro and to be able to record while I'm riding. So yeah, today's video is just going to be about how my first bike was a Ducati 1199 Panigale. And yeah, I know you can see this. There's a YouTube short posted on my channel as to how this happened. We won't touch much up on this, but yeah, let's get going.
I wish you were here, but you're not, so I'm broken. Smoke in my lungs and my veins turning frozen. To kill the pain, I need more ibuprofen. I need something potent. Yeah, I need something more than that. I needed all your love from the start, now there's no going back. You're giving me a heart attack. You saw the window to my soul and you painted it black. One more night got me thinking that I miss you. Two more hits and that feeling continues. Three more sips and I just wanna forget you. Forget you. I just wanna forget you.
I guess what we'll touch up on first is as to why I got this as my first bike. So back in high school, I used to ride motorcycles, but you know, I never had like my own bike. I always rode one of my friend's bike, who he had a Yamaha R6 and what else? Yeah, actually, oh, and a ZX6R. So he would let me borrow them every there and there, and that's sort of where I learned how to ride street bikes. But in terms of like learning how to ride motorcycles, for the most part, I learned how to ride motorcycles by riding dirt bikes with my friends, ATVs all the time. So that's kind of where I learned how to ride motorcycles. One thing I'd like to talk about with the 1199 is that this bike does not like being in low gears at all. Like, this bike hates being in low gears. It's very slouchy. It doesn't like to go forward. It's very, how do I say it? Yeah, just very like, very sluggish. It likes to bog almost, but it's not really a bog. It's kind of like just, oh, rev me up higher. The way that I found this bike was that I did a build series on a Honda Civic. I did a big turbo build on it. I kind of got bored of that, and I always wanted a motorcycle, so I thought, like, hey, you know what, let's just sell a Honda and buy a motorcycle. And I had always wanted a motorcycle. I mean, I had always wanted a Ducati, so whatever, I kind of just looked around, just search, and then I found this one, which I got for a really good deal. The guy was just really trying to let go of it. Sorry, there was just a car behind me. I wanted to get some space off. But basically, I found this bike, I got a really good deal, and then whatever, I ended up purchasing the motorcycle, and my parents were not happy about it at all. Like, my mom stopped talking to me for about a week. My dad wasn't too happy about it either, but I mean, you know, last year or 2 years ago, I think I was about to buy a V2 Panigale, 2021, so brand new. I had basically put my security deposit, and yeah, I ended up kind of just bailing. I started kind of tweaking myself out, thinking that I was gonna crash, this, that, whatever. And then come around a few months ago, I was like, you know what, it's time. So I ended up buying this 1199 Panigale, and I have been in love ever since. Love this bike. So I guess since this technically is my first bike that I own myself, it's not the bike that I learned on, you know? I would ride every there and there on the street, so I kind of learned the basics of how to ride motorcycles on the street. So I guess, you know, I don't know that I would recommend this bike. Actually, no, I don't know. I would 100% not recommend this bike as a starter bike to anyone. If you have not ridden like a 600 and you're not fully comfortable, almost bored of the 600, getting a bike that has double the cc's is definitely not what you want to do. I believe that this bike has 195 horsepower. I'm not too sure. I think it's something around there, about 195 horsepower, which is you know, a lot for something that's honestly smaller than a horse. 195 horsepower is a lot. If you know how to ride, I definitely recommend this motorcycle. It's so nice. It's just such a raw feeling bike. Like, you know, this is a 2012 1199 Panigale, so it doesn't have all of the electronics and all that new stuff that all the new bikes have, which I'm not saying is bad, but I mean, I also haven't driven something with all those electronics. But I personally, just from all of the videos that I've seen about people talk about, you know, like, the raw feeling of this bike is awesome. Like, a lot of people complain about the heat on the legs. I mean, in the summer when it was like pretty hot, yeah, it kind of sucked when you're at a stop sign or a stoplight. But it's not the end of the world, you know. Like, you're on a Ducati, you're on a single swing arm, the red, like the Italian luxury motorcycle. Like, I mean, come on, like, stop complaining, ride a bike and enjoy it. That's what I kept telling myself, you know. I feel very fortunate to be able to be on this motorcycle, and so, like, I don't know, I don't really tend to complain, because, man, I love this thing. Like, if I could drive it all day, every day, I definitely would. But, you know, I live in the Midwest, where weather is not as forgiving as places like the East Coast or the West Coast, where you can ride year long. But, you know, at the end of the day, riding this motorcycle is freaking amazing. Like, I love this bike. I love it, I love it, I love it. The one thing that does happen is on this hand, on my hand with the throttle, like, my palms will start to hurt, like, after, like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes of riding it. But I mean, it's very normal, because you sit very, like, on top of the bike. You sit very far back on the seat, so it is kind of a really aggressive riding position that you're on the bike. But I mean, what do you expect? You know, it's a Ducati, and it's not a small cc bike. You're on a liter bike, so I guess that's to be expected. Yeah, but in terms of this bike, the things that I like about it is that it has 3 different riding modes. It has, dang, that wind pushed me. It has wet, sport, and race, I believe. I have actually never put this bike on race mode. I'm still, I don't think that I'm ready for that. And that's, like, kind of the mentality that you have to have when having a bike with this much power, that you can't just go balls to the walls, full send it, you know, because that's how you die. So, like, I have had a lot of respect for this motorcycle. I know that it has a lot of power, and I don't have a lot of experience, or sufficient enough experience to be able to really use this bike entirely. But then again, you know, like, if you're not really going in a straight line, who's using their liter bike to, like, the max capacity unless you're on a track? Really nobody. But yeah, I mean, the sport mode on this is already scary, like, so scary. Like, it lifts the front tire up already on sport, so I can't even imagine what race does. And sport basically does, like, I believe 195 horsepower low, and then, like, some other things, I'm not too sure. But yeah, this bike is awesome. I love this thing so much. You know, I'm very lucky to be able to say that this is my own personal motorcycle. I do have some things that I'm going to do to it. Like, the previous owner, he kind of dropped it, and this right side fairing is a little bit scuffed. It's not the end of the world, but, you know, I want it to be perfect. I'm also going to get a new tank. So yeah, I guess this is gonna end up being a build series. I didn't plan on that, but whatever, I guess I am now. But I'm excited, you know, to make the bike kind of my own. I've already done a few things here and there. Like I did what is it, the mirror deletes. I got a carbon fiber exhaust cover. What else? Oh, I got new grips, bar ends, oh, the wind visor. So I've done a few things, you know, not that many, but just a few things. You know, it's kind of expensive when you have like the Ducati part tax, but whatever, it's nice. You know, I just gotta, every single time that I'm on it, I just gotta remember I'm fortunate to have a Ducati. You know, that's my dream bike since I've ever been a little kid. I remember the first Ducati that I ever saw was actually when I was in France with my friend Pierre. I was about 15, 16 years old, and I saw this bike actually. It was an 1199 back in 2015, I believe. Yeah, back in 2015 is when I saw my first Ducati ever. I didn't even know Ducatis existed. Like, oh my god, I like instantly fell in love, and I told myself that I would have one day. Yeah, if you guys are interested in what I did for my GoPro setup, leave a comment down below and I can kind of just tell you guys all the things that I bought, my settings on my GoPro, what GoPro I have, all of that stuff, you know, the microphone, adapters, all of that. Just leave a comment down below and I can make a separate video on how I did it. You know, how I set up my helmet as well. No passing zone. Yeah, it's an uphill. I'm gonna wait. You know, just cruise a little bit. Look at the cows. There's some baby cows there. I don't know if you guys can see those, but some baby cows. Let's do another little pull. Yeah, this thing is nuts. That top end power on this bike is insane. Like, it just keeps pulling harder and harder. Like, when you get to that 8,000 RPM range, the motorcycle is pulling so hard. It is insane. Like, I rode my friend's Gixxer 600, and I know you can't compare an 1199 to a Gixxer 600, but like, I mean, like, it's a really fun bike, but the power, just like the power curve, I guess, it starts to like plateau at the higher RPMs. This thing does not do that. This thing just keeps on going and going and going and going, and it's kind of scary, you know? That's why I said that I am not ready to put this bike into sport or race mode, because sport is already more than enough for me. Like, you know, more than enough for me. Like, the way that I got really comfortable with this bike was that when I bought it, I just kept the bike on wet mode, and I just learned how to ride the bike, learned how to feel it on wet mode for like the first 2 weeks. Just kind of got comfortable with it, rode it to school every day, just figured out how it likes to move, you know, just kind of get like comfortable with the bike, the maneuverability. And then after that, once I kind of got like comfortable with it and the power was like, okay, I put it up to sport. I believe it's sport and then race. I put it up to sport, and you know, even sport I'm not too comfortable with, and I've been riding this sport mode maybe for like a week. No, not a week, sorry, for a month. And yeah, it's still too much. Like, it's still way too much power for me. The bike just literally likes to just pull and pull and pull, and it's kind of scary if you're not careful with it, you know? Yeah, I am in love with this motorcycle. I'm just gonna stop at this park just to do a little walk around of the bike. There's a lot of people here right now. Usually it's pretty empty, but it's alright. So, yeah, this is the damage. Sucks, but yeah, like I said, I put new grips on the bike. The levers were already there when I bought it. I put the carbon fiber exhaust cover on it. The rear tail was on there. The rear sets were on there. Tail was on here. Finally got it registered. Clear clutch was on there. These I put on, needed some new bolts, but yeah, you can see here, this is the damage from it. A little bit right here as well. So I am planning on getting just a whole brand new set of fairings, everything, tank, front, because you can see here it's also damaged just kind of from when he slid it. So I'm going to be getting like a new front fairings, everything you can see right here too. But the cool thing is that he did buy a clutch cover for it to replace the one that was damaged, so yeah, that's good. But yeah, everything else is super simple, I guess. I got some black bar ends, I like that. The carbon fiber tail thing is nice too. The tail with Heidi I love, you know, slices plate pushed back. But yeah, I'm planning on doing some stuff with the sprocket as well. And yeah, that's basically about it. This is a very special bike for sure. I don't know, when you ride this bike, you feel like, I don't know, you feel special in a way, or you feel like you're on something special. It's just like, from riding like the Japanese bikes to this is just like a whole different type of like it's a whole different type of ergonomics that the Ducati has to offer, and it just feels like a lot more sporty, aggressive on these. And I'm not saying, you know, that like the Gixxers and the Ninjas are not like aggressive. Just from the ones that I've ridden, they don't feel anywhere near as close as this. Like, this just feels like something really cool. My friend Woody does have a Triumph 675 triple R or double R, I forget what it's called, but it's really nice. He just finished building that too. He was supposed to ride with me today, but he had to do some stuff with his girlfriend, so he couldn't ride today. But we will, hopefully I can do a review on that bike, and he can ride this just to feel the difference, you know, compare. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a big difference between an English bike and an Italian bike. Sixth gear in this bike is completely unusable. Like, unless you're literally on the highway just cruising at 80, you cannot use sixth gear. Like, you have to be going at least like 70 for it to not be slouchy in sixth gear. Like, if you're in sixth gear going like 60, it's very slouchy. It likes to come, like, you know, be very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just very slouchy. Obviously no torque, but it almost feels like it's like bogging out. It does not like to be in very low RPMs. Like, this motorcycle wants to stay over 3,500, you know, at least over 3,000, or else it's going to be very like very slouchy, very I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, it does not like to do it. It wants to be in higher RPM, or else the bike does not like to go. For, you know, daily street riding and stuff like that, I like it. A lot of people say that they couldn't drive this bike every single day. I personally feel like you could. I don't really get that tired. Like, my wrists get a little tired, but I just sit up, put my hand on the lap, and I'm just cruising, and it's not that bad. You know, I'm pretty sure that there's like a lot more comfortable bikes, like my friend's Gixxer 600, for example. When I got on that bike was a lot easier to ride. It didn't seem like you're sitting so high up on the seat, super in aggressive position, like kind of hunched over. Like, look, you can kind of see me in the shadow right there. This is how I ride the bike, so you can kind of see I'm like pretty leaned over, even when I'm sitting back with just one arm on the throttle. You're still pretty leaned forward, and it's just because you sit very high on the seat. The seat on the Ducati is placed very high, Instead of it being like lower, like, you know, like the CX, like the Ninjas and the Gixxers. What is that? I thought that was a lizard. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, I love this bike. I'm super happy. I have zero regrets with this motorcycle. I love everything about it. Not a single thing discourages me. If I had the chance to buy it again, would I buy it again? Yep, definitely. Yup. This is a motorcycle that I want to have forever. I'd like to try the 1299 as well. But man, I am just so happy to be able to have a Ducati, ride a Ducati. Yeah, and the maneuverability on this bike is insane. Like when I rode my friend's the Gixxer 600, it feels almost even easier to move than a Gixxer 600. It just feels very nimble. It likes to move right away. And like, I also really love how narrow the bike is. It is very skinny compared to, like, you know, the inline fours that the engine's completely sideways. Like, they're very fat and wide. I love how just this bike is a 1200cc, or if you want to be exact, 1198 or whatever the number is. But it just feels so skinny compared to all of the bikes that have, like, that are inline. They're just so big and fat. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like having my legs open, like, anyways, I like being kind of like, you know, it's kind of slim, tucked in, like, position where it's just like, it just feels easier to ride, and it doesn't feel like I'm riding like a jet ski, I guess you could say, like, or a wave runner, whatever they're called. Those big bikes kind of feel like wave runners to me, and this just feels like way skinnier. This feels like a motorcycle, or like a bicycle, I guess. I would compare a Ducati to a bicycle, and then like a wave runner to the bikes that are like inline fours. Very wide, fat bikes. Still like how they look, but in my opinion, what I would rather ride is definitely a L-twin. Very skinny, moves like a 600. Love it. It just sounds so mean. It sounds so aggressive. It sounds like a V8 or something, just something mean. That is basically going to wrap up today's video. Just kind of wanted to try my new setup. Tell you guys as to, you know, how I got my first bike to be an 1199, what my thoughts are. A nice little riding review, kind of just a simple, just the basics. So to conclude, we'll just wrap everything up. I would say that if you are experienced, you know, if you've been riding dirt bikes your whole life, and you've also ridden some sports bikes on the street, I guess in my scenario, you know, I would say, yeah, this isn't a bad bike to get. You just have to be very respectful of what you're on. Like, you have to remember that you are on basically a missile. It is nothing to be played with. You have to really respect the motorcycle, because this thing will kill you if you don't respect it. It will 100% kill you if you don't respect it. And that's something that where, you know, I kind of know my limitations. I know when to do a pull, when not to. So you just have to be very cognitive of what you're on, and you have to respect that you are on a missile on the floor. And like, literally, when you're going 100 plus, it only takes a second or literally half of a mistake for you to ruin your life. You know, whether you like survive and are like paralyzed, or whether you literally just completely die. So if you have experience with motorcycles, I would say, you know, getting a Ducati 1199 isn't like the worst idea. That being said, only if you do have like proper experience. And if you're looking to daily this motorcycle, I guess it really depends. I would say it depends on your age. You know, By like that I mean like whether your back hurts or not. If your back doesn't hurt and your joints can take it, like your elbows and your wrists from being slouched over, then yeah, you could ride this bike every day. I mean, I did for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like the first 2 weeks that I had the bike, I rode it every single day to school and back, and that's like a 55-minute ride to school. And then sometimes I'd go to pilot school right after, so it'd be a 55-minute ride to school, and then a 55-minute ride to the airport, and then about a 45-minute ride back home. I would do it just fine. I wouldn't really get too tired. I think for me, what would get the most tired is just my palms. My palms on my right hand was the one that would get the most tired. But besides that, I felt perfectly fine. I think this is a good daily rider. I think the thing that's going to hurt the most is probably your wallet. You know, kind of probably having to fill it up every 2 days maybe. But besides that, yeah, I think this is a great bike. Definitely not a beginner bike, but if you have your experience with motorcycles, yeah, why not? It's a little tall too, so I'm 5'8", 5'9", and I cannot flat foot the motorcycle. I have to be on my tippy toes at the stop sign, stoplight, or whatever, so definitely take that into consideration as well. I cannot flat foot the motorcycle, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, that is going to conclude for today's video. I'll also show you guys really quickly just how steep the driveway really is. Like, the bike was parked here, so if I kind of get down, you can see that it is not that steep. Like, it's really not steep at all right there. It's basically flat. That is gonna wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope my camera setup came out good. I will be doing some more videos, hopefully, if the weather turns out nice. Like, I will be riding with my homie Woody pretty soon. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Camera setup is good, hopefully, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.